Lovely to see you and welcome to our trot around the globe. We're here on a live journey around the clock. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you in the house.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Erik. Now, I'm guessing your Erik Noteboom is not, that's your American name?
No, it's a Dutch name.
It's a Dutch name, okay. Because I was looking at your site just to find out a little bit about you. So I've dug up a little bit that you're into the radiation and the growth factor for Lyme disease.
Yes.
Erik, how about you get us started by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved into the world of energy and radiation?
Yes, I will. I was a farmer for 20 years, and well, at first the disaster of Chernobyl made a huge impact on me, and I thought, well, I have to measure this because everyone told something about it, but no one could tell me really what happened. So I thought, well, I have to measure it myself. So during my farming, I was also measuring everything, and on a certain moment I became ill, and I came to the idea that I had Lyme disease, and yes, it was very heavy. From my 8th to my 45th, I had Lyme disease, I know, and farming was too heavy for physically with Lyme disease, so I sold my farm. And then and then I started to look around how to measure my living surroundings, and I went to Germany, because in Germany there was the Institute of Building Biology, and they measured everything. And why Germany? Well, Germany had all the cities bombed in the Second World War, and after that they had to rebuild it, and they rebuilt it with all the burned stones and products, and that people became very ill of that.
Okay.
Yes, so the idea came up to measure the environment. So how become people ill of their living surroundings? And in this study, we think the human body is perfect. We are perfect attached to this world. And only something from outside can make us ill. That is our idea. So if you want to know why you become ill, then you have to measure something. That is the idea. And
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started measuring, and I had Lyme disease myself, and was very sensitive for all kinds of radiation. And now I know that Lyme disease is doing harm to your nerve system. So you can be very sensitive for radiations, especially man-made radiations. So
Erik, how did it end up in your farm? If they found it in the buildings and the rubble and built buildings from that, how did it get to your farm?
Well, in the farm, I was also working with chemicals, of course.
Of course.
Yes, I repaired machines, and once I repaired a machine and got poisoned with a chemical, and I became a severe heart problem. And in the hospital, they couldn't tell me anything. So I went to Germany then, and they measured me and then found out which chemical did the problem on my heart and nervous system. So with bioresonance, it was I got rid of the problem in a very short time. So that worked very good for me.
So you say a very short time, Erik. How long was that? Because I have a client that suffered from Lyme's disease for years, and it's been quite debilitating.
Yes, well, the Lyme disease for me took longer. After I sold my farm, I started measuring, And I got a contact in Germany who was producing a biophoton machine. And as pointed out, the biophoton machine brings light into the body. And with this light, the Lyme disease doesn't like the light. And if you put the right frequencies attached to the light, then you become the frequencies into the cell where Lyme disease is housing, isn't it? So Lyme disease going into the cell. Yes.
That's fantastic. So, I mean, you're obviously, your distress of getting ill and selling your farm has led you into something that's helping hundreds of and countless thousands of people now. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, I try to help a lot of people with my system. I build a system attached to the biophoton machine, so the effect would be very, very strong. And with that system, I try to help people to get rid of Lyme disease. And some people are, well, do 8 times of 8 treatments, but the Lyme patients who have Lyme disease very long, for more than 10, 20 years, they need to treat a year.
Wow, okay.
Yes.
So what are the symptoms, Erik?
Of Lyme disease? Oh,
yes.
That is, well, it's always different. It's what part of the body is the weakest. Lyme disease will go on that part. It could be your heart, can be your nervous system, can be your intestines, it can be rheumatic problems. Lyme disease will go there where you are the weakest. And it's funny to see that I treat also horses, that horses are, well, cured in 8 till 10 treatments, and human beings more than 20, 30 treatments. Because we have a brain.
I was going to say, something's interfering.
So a horse is just there and is treated and is cured, but we think too much. We have traumatized and we have all kinds of thoughts and well, that is the traumas are also an invitation for Lyme disease. Yes.
Absolutely.
Patients also. So electrical pollution is what I found out, a very large trigger for Lyme disease to overgrow. Meningitis also. So Lyme and meningitis and herpes are going together and joining together and attack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, that's serious because it is, and that's going to affect many body parts, many body systems.
Yes. Yes. Well, you have people who can still run and do things, but I have also patients, a young patient of 22, who has a top dancer and can now not even move. So, yes, it can be very, very severe. Yeah.
So, Erik, can you talk to us a little bit more about the radiation side of it and a patient that would present to you? How would the treatment come about? What is your system that you've developed to help people? Could you walk us through that, please?
Yes, well, I started a self-help organization, so people have to help themselves, and they rent my system, my machines, and we go in a group. In the group, they can talk to each other and help each other, and treat them with the systems we produce, and that works. People are so disappointed in the system of the normal healthcare. No one could find what they had, and always going psychologically. So we try then to help them, and if our treatment doesn't work, then I go to them at home and measure what maybe could cause the blockage that they cannot heal. And mostly I find geological disturbances or electrical or magnetical fields, which are severe working into the body, electrical pollution. So Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, you have to shut it all down to get cured. So that is, it's very important to see what emittents are coming from the environment to the person and brings them down.
That's and so overhead electrical wires, all those sorts of things are hugely damaging.
Yes, all the electricity in the housings, we mostly shut down electricity for the night. Well, during the night you don't need any electricity, only for the heating, only for the refrigerator, but not for yourself. So in the sleeping room, all plugs out and no electricity. So all the emittents are gone, and that people find themselves very good. Why the night? The night is we sleep, and during the sleep we repair. And if we cannot sleep very well, then we cannot repair very good. Yes, we need to repair during the night, because that's for the night. To archive our thoughts and to repair our problems we get over day. So that's why the bedroom is very important for building biology.
And very important to keep our devices out of at night time.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, the electricity, yes.
Yes. Now, I've noticed that you have a bit on your website about Wi-Fi radiation and the dangers of Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Would you please embellish on that just to help us understand that a little bit more?
Yes, you mean the frequencies of Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Yes, Wi-Fi has the same frequency as a microwave oven. And there's a little midget inside who is turning it off and on 10 times per second. So we call that a Woody Woodpecker frequency. The frequency is the 10 hertz frequency, is the same frequency as our organ which makes melatonin. And melatonin, as we know, is the sleeping hormone. So people cannot sleep with the Wi-Fi. And it's also working in on our brain, on our thoughts, and so people become very flat.
Ah, okay.
So
yeah, it's look, I'm fascinated. All the shows I've been listening today have offered, all the experts that have come on, such as yourself, have just offered so much information. If you were to dig deep into your wealth of information, Erik, apart from that sort of the Wi-Fi and that sort of thing, is there anything else that you could share with our listeners that can contribute to this disease?
Well, it's not only Lyme disease, but also a lot of cancer patients. I had a lot of doctors who showed the cancer patients to me, so I had to measure in their living environment. And mostly I find the reason why they have cancer, mostly I find the emittent which is causing it. It's a lot of times that geopathically emittent from Earth frequencies are also coming in and doing harm on the sleeping place. And in the early days, people traveled around, not staying very long on the same place.
Yes.
We build houses and we stay 30, 40 years on the same sleeping spot. And the energy from the earth is coming always on the same spot to your body, and that can cause a problem on the long term. And
wow, that's amazing.
Yes, and completed with all the technical radiation we produce ourselves now, it can be too much for the body. So it's always coming from outside, and as a human being, we're perfect.
So can we limit that rather than move house? Is there any other ways in which we can limit the radiation?
Yes, we can turn off. We can pull out the plugs for machines we don't need. We don't use all day. We can turn off all the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth when we don't need it. You can only turn it on when you need it. So
Okay.
it brings down the amount of radiation, and still coming up more electricity. We have to be aware that our fine biological system, which our body is, can be harmed by all these electrical frequencies which coming to us. So
I imagine, Erik, you've become quite used to energies and frequencies yourself. Do you actually need the device now, or are you attuned enough to know what's good for your body energetically and frequency-wise?
Well, I can say that I got rid of my Lyme disease, so my body is strong again. And before I felt every emittent, so a DECT phone or a Wi-Fi computer, I could feel in 3 meters. Nowadays, I don't feel them anymore. So healthy people don't think that radiation is doing any harm because they don't feel it. But if you are very sensitive and your nervous system has a problem with heavy metals or other loaded chemicals, then the system can become very sensitive for radiation, and that is the problem. That normal people feel it, but our cells are limited, so they have also a problem with it if you don't feel it. So better to avoid all these radiations, which can be too much.
Yes, I've always been aware of that, but not to this extent. So I'm sitting here very grateful for your knowledge and sharing that with us, because I mean, apart from going back, as you said before, and living the nomadic experience, you know, buying a couple of camels in a tent and just moving every couple of months, which is not really going to work these days if we want to buy a business online, is it?
Yeah, it would be something, wouldn't it? If we want online, but well, it's not that we get rid of all the technical things, but we have to be aware that we can do without too much. So we have to be aware that it's having some effect on us. So if you are aware of that, you can protect yourself for too much. And if you're not aware, well, you let everything come into you, and chemicals and all the air pollution and everything which is around us can be too much for us when we are not aware that we have to watch out. Yeah? So
Absolutely.
yeah, so measuring is for me very important, and a lot of people become ill because of their living environment. So it would be good if there become more building biologists who measure the living environment and find out why people become ill.
That's a wonderful scenario, but unfortunately, it's not in our commercial world. It's not overly viable, is it?
No, not yet. No. So
no.
in the normal medical system is not thinking up to this, but it's starting to come to awake that something in the environment is also doing harm to people and could be the cause of diseases. So a lot of people are sick and try to get better with pills, and these pills don't work because they still in the emittent who make them sick. So if you take them out of that, then the medication will work.
Yeah, it's in essence a toxic environment, isn't it?
Yes, yes. And
Yes.
so also with Lyme disease, we have to do more investigations and more research why Lyme disease is so dangerous to us, and why we become so poisoned by Lyme disease. Because the bacteria is like a chemical plant. It takes something from us and gives something, and it gives a very poisonous products and that is doing harm to our nervous system. But we have to be aware that it's also taking something from us, and that's mostly a lot of vitamins and minerals. So you see that a lot of people have a lack of vitamin B and a lack of magnesium. But I found that are the products which Lyme disease takes from us. And
Right.
if you give the person a supplement of these vitamins and minerals, then you actually are feeding the Lyme disease. That is a problem.
Fantastic. Now, Erik, I'd love to hear more about your company and the clients, how they find you. Where do people find you? What happens if, sorry, too many questions. I'll go back to one. Tell me. I'm fascinated. Tell me about your company and when you established that.
Yes, I have a website, and that's my company name. It's Building Biology Advising Agency. But it's a Dutch website, so not yet English. But I think with Google translation you can find something out of it.
Yes, we will have those in the notes with your recording. We'll have the translation. I've actually got Google Translate open up here beside me, so I'm following as we go. So
That's great. Okay. Yes.
What happens, Erik, if you can't get out to a person's place to measure and test?
Yes. If I cannot go out of there, I mean, so I cannot go to the person to test over there. Well, that is very difficult to find them the problem they have. You have to actually measure in their personal living surroundings. Otherwise, you cannot find what the problem is. So I have to go there.
Is your machine transportable? Are you able to send it to them for them to test?
Well, I have a special machine for Lyme disease. I developed myself, but the building biology machines for measuring the device for measuring radiation, they are transportable. Yes, and I take them with me, and well, I start measuring in the houses of people. At first, we have a small talk, and I hear then from the people what the problem is. They tell me what the illness is and how it feels in the home, and then I start measuring and looking for the emittance. I measure the electropollution from the mountain, and I measure radiation from earth frequencies and so. And yeah, so we can do a lot about it.
Yeah, and yes, I'm sure you can. I'm sitting here thinking, wow, this needs to be all around the world and accessible. How many of you can you clone? There needs to be more Eriks.
Yes, yeah, well, the Institute of Building Biology in Germany is they can do a study, and even more people from out the world come to there to do this study. And well, they started the institute to the professor who is starting the institute wanted to build healthy houses with biological materials, and then he got a lot of people on his telephone who said that they became ill because of their environment and of their house, and then they started to measure. In the early 70s, we started measuring around in houses why become people ill, and also in offices and school buildings, we start measuring. it's not only radiation, but also mold and chemical pollution and air qualities.
Yeah.
Can be very severe. We
And
had
it's
also, yeah.
probably not necessarily only the older buildings either.
No, it can be also new buildings. Also, we use old products and recycle them, and sometimes there are also chemicals inside and a lot of glue. And glue is fuming also, cancer-producing fumes.
So is there a cleansing process that can be done for the building materials?
Mm-hmm. Sorry?
Is there a cleansing process that can be done for the building materials that are renewable?
Sometimes you can paint a fuming wall with a paint which is closing up, but mostly it's very difficult to get rid of the chemicals. Sometimes it's coming from a carpet or a wallpaper, then it's no problem, you get rid of that. But it's coming from the walls, then you have a problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we once found walls in Germany in some old houses which were radioactive. So you cannot.
Wow.
House,
It's quite. Yeah, it's quite scary to stop and think. I mean, we live in our homes, as you said. You know, sometimes people are in their homes for their whole lifetime,
yes.
and they can be potentially on a little time bomb.
Yeah, that could be, yes. And it's the problem is that you don't get instant sick. It gets over the years. A body can have a lot of pollution, and it's always trying to look healthy. Because in nature, we are always have to look out of predators. So people will always attend that they are healthy. And only very late you become aware of that you're sick. So, and if you don't measure, you don't know. So sometimes chemicals or electric pollution, or sometimes the combination of them, can be very, very severe. So I did a lot of research of that. Yes.
There's one other headline on your website I'd like to quiz you on, and it says dangers of the bra.
Yes.
Do tell.
I've got a lot of.
Because there's quite a few of us that wear them.
Yes, the bra. Yes. The bras nowadays have this metal spine in it for what do you call that? Makes them firm.
Support?
Yes, support. That's the right word. The metal support is
it's called an underwire.
Yes, it's like an antenna. It's like an antenna for telephone radiation. And that is giving the radiation to the breast, of course, which have a lot of very soft tissue and lymph systems. And our lymphs are full of chemical products. Sometimes a lot of makeup is going to there. And compared with radiation, it can do very, very much harm to the tissue. So yeah, well, it's like an antenna, and it's make the effect stronger. And we don't dare to say about a lot of things that it could be producing cancer, but about this product we could say that.
Wow.
Be aware of that, yes. And you could measure it with a compass. It's also disturbing the natural Earth magnetic field. And if you measure with a compass, then you can see that the compass is turning when it's coming to the metal parts of the bra.
How would you do that? How would you measure that specifically, Erik?
With a compass, you do the cups down, and you go with a compass over it, and then you see the compass needle twisting. And then
Really?
you know, yes. Sometimes turning. Then you know it's a very bad one. And if it's
Wow.
yes, sometimes nearly no turning, and then it's okay. But sometimes the compass needle is twisting very rapidly, and then we know it's a very bad metal which is inside there.
Wow, I don't want to joke about this, but we could be sending half of the women in the world out there with compasses on their bras.
Yes, what to do?
Well,
I think there will be come up a lot of biologists now, I think.
no prior experience necessary. Oh, that's fascinating, Erik. That really is. I congratulate you on your work. It's so very important that this information is out there in the world, and I know that those that need to hear what you have to say will be guided to tune in to listen to the recording. We certainly will have also all of your links up on the recording. I'd like to just offer you a little bit more time to share anything that you have that you'd like to, that we haven't touched on yet today.
Sorry, come up again.
I'd like to give you the opportunity to share with our audience, with our viewers, anything that we may not have touched on as yet today in regards to your work.
Yes, we can go deeper into the idea of radiation. Also radiation, of course, of Chernobyl and Fukushima is also important, that we could measure that. And it's not only the radiation we can measure with the Geiger counters and so, but it's also the information of radiation. So everything is information and energy, and it's not only the hard radiation, but also the information we got of it. So that is also information. The water. Water can have information from radiation, and then it's or magnetic field also. So that is going too deeper into the materials. I know it's very complicated as it sounds now, but we can go more into that if you like to.
So your advice to anyone, Erik, that's feeling the effects of chronic fatigue, of what the classic symptoms that you are presented with, what would you suggest somebody that may be needing to have a look into deeper?
Yeah, we can do very short information about that you be aware of that electricity can do harm to our biological system, and that very many things are not grounded good enough. If you're grounding your laptop or computer, then it would be less radiation, and you have to plug it always in a grounding mounted plug. If you don't ground it good enough, then our body have a lot of problems with the electrical pollution it has, and also with electrical adjusted beds. Take out the plug, and water beds. You have to be very careful with that, because water is a very good transformer of electricity, and it is electric heated, so our bodies have a lot of problem with that, and some people can even have heart rhythm disturbances because of it.
Wow.
Yes, because a water bed or electrical adjusted bed give a lot of electrical or magnetical radiation. Yes, and that's if that our kidneys are cramping. It's the kidney is a certain muscle which the heart has to pump the blood through. If the kidney blocks, the heart has to pump very hard, so you have high blood pressure.
Yeah, of course.
The kidney can block because of electrical pollution from a water bed or an electrical adjusted bed. So take out the plugs and you maybe sleep better.
Yes, yes. Well, for those people that have tried modern medicine, they've tried alternative therapies, they've tried everything that they can think of, and yet they haven't looked into their environment, that is the next most obvious step.
Yeah, it is an obvious step. So take out the plugs at night from the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. You don't need it at night.
No.
Even the children, they are so grown up with mobile phones and laptop computers. We don't know what the effect on the long term is. And I find often that they have a mobile phone under their pillow, loading it up from the electrical plug, and then the electrical pollution to the head is severe. And,
wow.
you don't want them to have a problem with the head, don't you? It's a problem. So if you know that, then they have to load their mobile phone somewhere else, but not in the sleeping room, not in your bed.
Yes, yes.
Phone.
That's, yeah, and we're yet to know the damage that the mobile phone to the ear, and even away from the ear in a Bluetooth device, we're yet to know the damage of that.
Yes, well, all the research is done to look what the heating effects, or the warming effects on the head would be, but they never, or they have, but these researchers are pushed on the carpet. They nearly never research what it does on our DNA, and it does harm to our DNA. So, and that is what our future problem can do. So, if we now cause harm to our DNA, what would that do to our children or grandchildren in the future? We don't know.
At least most of our lives, and it's certainly up to the last 20 years, were technology free. You know, we didn't have that, but our kids and our grandkids, that's what they're learning, they're being born into, and it's the normal for them. So
yes.
It's time for some re-education, isn't it?
I think so. I think so, because our children are the future of the human society, and if we poison them too much, we will become problems, and people will become also they cannot reproduce because the sperms are also killed by radiation.
Affected, yes.
A lot of men wear their phone in the trousers, but it's very bad for reproducing.
Well, yes. Yeah, very true. My goodness. Look, the longer we talk, the more scary this is becoming.
It's not to scare people. We have to be aware of that.
We do.
Could be a problem, and that we have to be very careful with this.
Absolutely. No, ignorance is definitely not bliss. We need to be aware of these things, and to be aware of the signs and symptoms within our body as well. Yes. And to look that little bit deeper, because our environment is just an extension of us. Isn't that right?
That's right. Yes. And a lot of people say, well, if you become ill, it's because your DNA is weak. And but I think we are totally complete. We survived 1,000 years of thousands and thousands of years of how do you call that? Thousands and thousands of years of reproducing, and we are very strong to live on this earth. But always an imitant from outside can cause us harm. So
Yes.
yes.
I agree completely. Erik, we are at the top of our hour, and I would just love to extend a very big thank you to you for finding a way to jump on board and join our journey around the clock today. And I'd love to just do a quick recap for our guests and our viewers, and certainly ensure that they know how to find you if you can be of service to them.
Yes.
So your website was Building Biology.
Yeah, but that is written in Dutch.
Okay. Okay, so what we'll do is, for anyone that's interested, please look to the recording, and we will have the English translation on the recording page for you. That's on the livingenergyday.com website.
Okay, great. Yes.
Yes, and our big take-home message is just to be extremely aware of the energies and the vibrations and the damaging frequencies that we're being surrounded and almost bombarded by. Turn off your Wi-Fi's at night time, keep the phones away from your ears and out of your pockets, and don't wear a bra.
or without metal.
Oh, was I wrong? Fantastic, Erik. Well, thank you so much for joining on this super important event. It's been my absolute pleasure to spend this time with you. I wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Erik. And please, guests, and please look into the show notes, and you'll find a way to contact Erik Noteboom. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.